In this episode, I talk about why it's so important to lead by example and let go of your expectations when you decide to change yourself in a way that goes against the stereotypical expectations of the worlds you live in. Welcome to Monologues by Hassie. When you want to change the world around you, sometimes you just need to start and then other people will catch up and follow. And for a long period of time, this was something that I definitely did not do because it's very uncomfortable to be the first person who does something different, who steps out of the mold, who steps out of the stereotype or the behaviors that you're ingrained with. And so it's always more comfortable if there's somebody else who's willing to start something with you than go and start it all by yourself. But what I've learned is sometimes this is the way you need to do things. And so when I started getting more serious about running, which was 2 to 3 years ago, I realized that most recently I built a small community, like it's a run club. And yes, it did start because a friend wanted to join, but I said that no matter what, whilst I'm in my city, I'm going to make sure I'm at that run club every week, no exceptions. And I haven't broken that rule. And what I've fundamentally done is led by example, because people realize that, wow, this guy always comes, even when it's raining and even when there's a thunderstorm, he still came and ran. And he's consistent about coming to this run club every week. And other people have joined. And one of the ways that I was able to get people to come was by having this Couch to 5K in 1 day program, where my biggest sales pitch was like, why wait 8 weeks to run 5K when I'm going to help you do it in 1 day? And so we had people join, and I said, you don't have to come all the time, just come do the program and go out and be fruitful by yourself. So by me taking running seriously and putting it out there on Strava, that is, and being public, and people realizing the changes that it's making in my life, other people have started joining. People who I would not have expected to message me about running, some of who I haven't really seen that well in 3 to 4 years, have now messaged me and say, oh, it's really cool what you're doing. And that's a great feeling. And I saw somebody who came to the run club and did the Couch to 5K in 1 day program. I saw them go on a popular run in where I live in Sydney by themselves. Maybe they had somebody else with them, but they did a run that they probably didn't think they would be able to do a few months ago. And so the whole purpose of this episode is I'm going to give a few examples of where the world will change, but you need to change first. So the Run Club is a great example where I decided I was going to be consistent. And yes, there were other people who also made that decision too, which made it easier. But that change, that small change, us leading by example, definitely attracted people within our communities and networks to come and join. And it's really amazing to see the fruits of that. When I was in Canada last year, I was doing my own runs, but I said, hey, why don't you try this Couch to 5K program to my family? And it was really great. I was there for a month, and by the end of it, everyone was running. And it's really cool to see that transformation. Now, this isn't to say that everyone needs to run, but it's just an example of sometimes when you change yourself, the world will then start to change by your lead. They'll follow your lead. And so you need to allow the world to catch up. And I think this goes for everything else that I'm doing, just being healthier, being a more confident person, the decisions I've taken to travel and I think take time off work and do something outside of the stereotypical grind for, I guess, how people might profile me if they saw me in the street. That also changes the way your social circles work. If you decide to become a more positive person and only encourage positive behaviors or predominantly encourage positive behaviors, yes, because everyone's going to have hard times, yourself included. But when you become that person and people see that change and you're less likely to engage in gossip or you're picking up rubbish when you see it, people might ignore it the first few times, but eventually those behaviors are going to catch on. And so when we want to change the world, it can be very frustrating to look around and say, well, other people aren't taking this seriously. When I realize, and there's many things that I do which other people still don't take seriously. When I started speaking up about democracy and how freedom of speech in Australia was being threatened last year, there was only a handful of people who supported me on that journey. But I'm grateful for that handful of people. And over time, people see me living by these values and they start to think, oh, well, maybe that is something we should care about. So there's many things where you just need to get started and then the world will join, right? So relish the opportunity to be the first person in your community to do something. Maybe you're from a low income neighborhood and the idea of you not eating junk food every day and looking after your health and being diligent in school and doing your homework makes you stand out. And maybe initially it makes you stand out in a negative way. And maybe people are going to call you out on that and are going to laugh at you because you're the only person in your community who's taking your homework seriously in high school or university or wherever you're at, right? And maybe that's going to make you unpopular. But sometimes if you want to see the people around you change and develop as well, you just need to get started. You need to start the journey. You need to take that first step. And only once you've done it, and the key is you need to do it. And when you do things, and if they're genuinely good for you and they're improving, then you will start exuding an energy, right? Your essence will change. If you start eating healthier and start exercising, you will start looking better. It doesn't matter who you are. You are going to start looking better. That is a bloody guarantee. I do not care who you are, how attractive you are. If you start looking after yourself, you will become more attractive than who you were before you started. Now, it's going to take some time to catch up, but once that public image catches up with the things you're doing behind the scenes that people can't see, people are going to start asking questions. They're going to say, why do you have this radiance that you have? And then you can tell them, it's because I've been taking these actions. If you'd like to join me, come along. And then the world changes. And so to change the world, change yourself. Take the first step and let the world catch up. So I'm going to end this episode here. And to all of you listening to this, I wish you great success in all your endeavors. You've just made it through another episode of Monologues by Hassie. It brings me great pleasure to know that you made it to the end. To listen to more episodes, subscribe on your favorite podcast app or visit monologuesbyhassie.com. Thanks for swinging by.